Hi all, my name is Maja. I'm a Packit team member, and today I want to talk about our measure first release of Packit command line tool, measure release 1.0, and why we need to address some breaking changes. And yeah, I will go through all the process for addressing these potentially breaking changes we introduced in our code base. And yeah, I have a first question for you. My goal today is collect some feedback from our users. But my very first question is, how many of you already know Packit? Okay, so the other way around, how many don't know Packit? Okay, I wasn't expecting that, but here a really quick overview on that, on what Packit is. So just said simple, Packit automates some boring stuff around packages, package world. So we have Packit can automate for you creating a downstream release, taking the sources, the new tag from the upstream. We can take this metadata from different upstreams, both Git forges like GitHub or GitLab, but also from non-Git forges. And we can automate downstream releases both for Fedora on Pagure, but we are already working to support for JJO. And we can also release packages in CentOS stream on the GitLab downstream. And we also trigger different other services, both in upstream and downstream. On the left, on the right, you can see all the services we are able to trigger. Some of them, for now, just on upstream, like the OpenScan Hub. We can scan the code for differential scanning the code, calling OpenScan Hub. Packit can trigger testing farm, can trigger Copper builds. We can do we can trigger for you Koji builds, Scratch Koji builds in the upstream. But since this year, we started also calling some of these services in the downstream, like testing farm was introduced this year, and also Copper build. Now you can trigger it in downstream through Packit because we are working at the Packit Fedora CI. And after you, Packit automates for you creating a release. It creates a pull request on the downstream forges. And after you merge that pull request or merge request, Packit triggers for you a Koji production Scratch build and also a body update. This is a really quick overview over many different Packit features. In the middle, you can see the Packit code structure. We have a core base code named Packit, and in this talk, I show you the release of this main module in Fedora, the release of Packit 1.0. On top of Packit, we have a continuous integration service, which code base is named Packit service, and we are also writing on top Packit the Packit Fedora CI. Okay, and that is a really quick overview. You may be wondering why releasing Packit, the center, is causing some breaking changes. This is because we have the service, and both the command line and the service share this config file. So what we wanted to do before releasing Packit 1.0 was to get rid of some old keys that we had in our config file, and yeah, that we already knew that would cause for some of our users breaking their continuous integration. And okay, you may wonder how many projects we help, and these are our numbers. We are around 2,000 projects, and I can tell you already that we knew we were going to break continuous integration for around 60 packages, more or less. Okay. And for those of you that have never seen Packit, this is, oh, okay. Sorry, I took the wrong version. Okay, so I hope you can read it. Yeah, this is our dashboard on the left, where you can see all the Packit triggered jobs, and on the right, you can see an example of Packit in action in the upstream. This is GitHub, the Podman GitHub. You can see all the checks that run by Packit and their states. And yeah, this is the Packit command line tool, because the Packit, the module at the center, release with the module at the center, we also ship a command line tool that you can use for testing your Packit integration before pushing changes onto the upstream, and also, yeah, if something happens to the service, you have a fallback way to run all the tasks that Packit can run. And yeah, and now speaking about the 1.0 release, we started talking to our users about our next release in December 2024, and we gave the users 1 month to take action. What I mean, we warned our users that we were creating some pull requests on their projects with the changes to the Packit config file needed to not to break their changes. And yeah, we give them one month, and you can see on the right that we released Packit yeah, on January. And I already told you that we mainly get rid of old keys. I just want to briefly focus on the last deprecated key, that is synced files. And you can see here that we deprecated that key. It was the last deprecated key from us, and it was deprecated on the 2022. So 3 years before we moved to remove the code, we deprecated the key. But why there were still projects using this key? Because if you were using the Packit key, for sure you were seeing all those warnings, and you probably were taking action and changing your configuration file. But if you were just using the service, we didn't show you the warnings. They just flooded our logs. So you weren't aware of this, and probably you never realized that maybe you need to change something in there. And the solution was for us to create the pull request I already mentioned you, And we have a small tool for doing this. These small tools go through all the projects, downloads the configs, it analyzes them. We can count how many of them have features that we don't want. We can propose pull requests for those configs. And now I want just showing you what challenges we do face after we went through this. And the first challenge is that we have two Packit files. We have a Packit file in the upstream and a Packit file in the downstream. Not all projects are using both upstream and downstreams. Many aren't, but those that are, it's a bit tricky because the Packit should be updated, the Packit config file should be updated in the upstream. And then when you do a downstream release, Packit can take the changes from the upstream and move them to the downstream Packit file. So one of the issues we had was that Packit was changed for the upstream of this project, but not for the downstream, because in a month it's not so usual that you have a project release. So we missed that for this project, and we had to create a manual pull request in the downstream. A similar case, but this time the project had a downstream release. Another version was stuck in the upstream. Packit created the pull request in downstream, and Packit also created the, updated the downstream configuration file, but probably the final user didn't understand why there were changes in the downstream file, and not only changes in the spec file and the sources for that release. So it closed the downstream pull request, created the release manually, and we had to create another pull request to adjust Packit in the downstream. Another probably much smaller issue is the user response. You can see that we still have not closed pull requests. Probably they are not heavily depending on our continuous integration, but still we have them. And then you can see on the right that some of them were closed just a few weeks ago. And I don't really know if we have how much other, if there are any others still open, or okay, just that. But to be honest, we also had some issues with our tool, and yeah, one problem was that we were not updating the forks where we were creating the pull requests. So we ended up creating some pull requests out of dated, and yeah. And also when we downloaded the configuration of these projects, we looked for those active projects in the last year. So we already know that we missed some project that is still using Packit, but maybe it's not so active. And I already told you that, yeah, we proposed pull requests only in the upstream, and yeah, and what that means. And so my goal today, as I said, is to collect some feedback from you. And I want to know if we are on the good track, if we can keep the direction, if our users are satisfied, are happy to merge the Packit opened pull request. And yeah, if it is, we can keep going on, enhancing the tool, fixing the bugs, and yeah, and we are happy with that. Otherwise, we also discussed to change the direction, and I can see different ways in which we can change our direction. We used to show warnings, for example, in the pull requests, but that was not always straightforward. I mean, sometimes it was misleading for the users, and so we stopped. If we can show the warnings, maybe bothering the users, they probably will end up with updating the configurations, but we don't want to bother you too much. So that was why we changed, we took action in another way. Another solution could be we can remove code from our Packit code, but maybe keep some transformation logic in Packit service. And yeah, maybe starting versioning our configuration file for this. And that can also be another solution. You can also have some more suggestions for us. So yeah, and you can give them me now, or you can reach to our channels. We have many different channels, and yeah. And now I would like to collect this feedback. So I ask you, which of you are happy with our opening pull request in your projects, or would be happy if you are not our user now, but you think you will be happy of merging our own pull request in your projects for updating your configuration file. So please raise your hand. Okay. 6 people. And how many of you think that we should change direction? 1. Okay. And there is someone that wants to give us suggestions? No. Okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay, so you are telling me you would somehow fix down the Packit version to use for the continuous integration. Okay, I think I see your point. I think it will be challenging for us, but we can think something like that. Yeah?
The main thing for me is really that I wouldn't rely on software that I cannot pick the version and I know which version is supported for how long or anything that's business logic critical. So you have your product version, but then if the configuration version or something I need to just break and change it, I would at least know if I can have the specific one and have an upgrade timeline in front of me.
Yeah, so you are saying that you wouldn't rely on something that is changing without letting you know.
Because in the same sense, I'm in the API space. I wouldn't rely on an API that you cannot set the version.
Yeah.
It's not, well, given as a product with versions.
Okay, so I'm wondering if versioning our configuration could be a solution for you.
Yeah, so you know, if it's like version 1 of the product, it has this configuration file, and version 1.5 has its changes. And then there's a clear timeline, how long it's supported for, what's the latest
Okay,
thing.
so we should also introduce the, okay, a forecast for our delivery in the future. Okay, that's nice. Thank you. Any other suggestions? Yeah, sure.
Could you add a check just for like validation of the configuration?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. He is telling that we can just add a check for the configuration. And I mean, you mean in the continuous integration service, right? We have a sort of it. I mean, you can validate through a pre-commit to the pre-commit tool, the Packit config. So we have a sort of it. It's not on the service side. You as a user has to enable it. I don't know if, okay. Any other suggestions? Okay, then I think I'm done. Thank you.